Also, describing anyone as comely. That's just not. Also, this opening crawl is doing so much expositional work, I'd almost have preferred whatever the Old West version of news position would be. Maybe a wanted sign for William Money, or an obituary for his wife. Or maybe Tom Hanks stopped by with a little girl to read some newspapers. The opening crawl makes 1878 sound terrible, mostly because smallpox was being a dick to public health, but also because of parents being dicks about your boo being a dick. Considering the story opens with the dick's dick getting a bad Yelp review and a bunch of other dicks being dicks about it, I'm going to be a bit unforgiving with the movie for not being named Too Many Dicks on the Western Frontier, in case you confused it with the Big Whiskey's American Bar and Restaurant, now with 11 Missouri locations. Putting the billiards tables upstairs. Next thing you know, someone launches a ball off the table and old Farmer McCruger has to have a closed casket funeral. Also, we find out later that billiards is now code here for a different kind of recreation featuring balls and pockets, so I'm also sinning the false advertising. It's hard to hear with the sound of the rain and what I assume is some banjo playing in the background, but Hey There Delilah just called Quick Mike cock small. And weirdly, the movie will be more comfortable showing a woman being assaulted than it is with showing the peen. Davey going a running might be the least believable part of this movie. Look, I'm not waiting. Gene Hackman's screen presence alone is worth a send off, and you can't stop me. This whole violence against women whose only perceived value is as a trafficked piece of property opening is a potent reminder that the Old West was terrible. So I'm giving a sin to Old West nostalgia and anyone who buys into that fresh pile of horse.
You know, they were just hard-working boys that was foolish.
Hard-working boys, that was foolish.
You don't look like no rootin', tootin' son of a bitch and cold-blooded assassin.
Ignoring the vast amounts of rooting and tooting that are likely going on in this pen.
And if I ever wanted a partner for a killing, you were the worst one, meaning the best.
Saying worst, but meaning best. Who do you think you are, Michael Jackson's third album?
Cut up her face, cut her eyes out, cut her ears off.
Exaggeration. Exaggeration is the worst sin in the history of sins. At least 1,000 times worse than surviving things and things working.
I'll be riding due west of the Western Trail, heading north into Wyoming.
What? With directions like that, I'm guessing the Western expansion was mostly due to people just getting lost and saying, F it, we live here now. Not only is it very unlikely that the first throw hits the target this squarely, but how in the hell did all these women get within throwing distance from that angle without even being seen? Also, while we don't know for sure that they are huzzing at these guys, it does look like And the problem with this revenge tactic is that you have to handle the poo to begin with, thereby getting revenge on yourself.
A pony? She ain't got no face left. You're gonna give her a goddamn mangy pony?
She ain't mangy, man.
Get out of here!
Hitting a gift horse in the mouth with its own excrement. Also, I get the principle upon which this pony is rejected. However, it could also be used to help pay the assassins, a fact that is surprisingly lost on Alice. Will has to suck at shooting now, so it's cooler when he doesn't suck later. Realizing Clint Eastwood has been 68 years old for approximately the last 50 years.
You take care of your sister now, son. And you kill a few chickens if you have to, and keep those hogs that got the fever separate.
A couple of chickens? How long is he going to be gone?
I'll be back in a couple weeks.
A couple of weeks? Whether it's these kids being surprisingly self-sufficient or laws not catching up to common sense, this movie's making me believe the 1800s were the best time to be a parent.
Horses getting even with me for the sins of my youth.
Blaming cancel culture on the equine community.
You remember how the spirit of your dear departed ma watches over you.
Abandoning your children to be haunted by a ghost.
You gonna hump him?
You're gonna hump him 1,000 times?
Thing my friend said to me to convince me not to get married somehow makes it into the script. Also, with 5 of them, they would only have to hump 200 times each to cover the $1,000 reward, and at a conservative estimate of 30 humps a minute, that's really only like 6 or 7 minutes each. I mean, if they're paying in humps and not humps to completion. I guess where I'm going with this is read the fine print on all your contracts. Also, Skinny's argument doesn't account for death by snoo-snoo, which, thanks to STDs, is a real possibility here. A little-known fact is that this movie was the inspiration for the TV show Home Improvement. And while I made that up, this Little Bill Builds a House goes on way too long.
The Roberts boy, he carried some wood for me, but that's all.
Downplaying the efforts and contributions of the Roberts boy. That kid carried your wood, and this is how you thank him? Justice for the Roberts boy!
Will.
Realizing Morgan Freeman has been 68 years old for approximately the last 50 years.
Should be easy killing them. Supposing they don't go on down to Texas first.
I'm glad I've got the subtitles on because I can barely hear what they're saying in the kitchen. Boom mics were invented by the 90s, correct? Pickled vegetables.
3 ways?
Considering this is primarily a mercenary job, taking a cut from 500 to 333 just to have some QT with an old buddy doesn't exactly seem like something most men in this situation would do. In today's money, that's going from about $15,000 to $10,000. That must be a hell of a hang.
And I can still knock your eye out of a bird flying, too.
Well, that's just mean. Scene does not contain Russell Crowe's hand.
Get a new start for them youngsters.
The youngsters you left to fend for themselves for 2 weeks? Yeah, considering they're likely Lord of the Fliesing their way to a Donner situation pretty soon, they're gonna need it.
All I want to know is what son of a bitch shot him is all. Was it one of them John Bulls?
Teaching me a new term for the insultation of the British.
This country don't need no queens whatsoever, I reckon.
Drag race deniers.
Pheasants. Let's shoot some pheasants.
Being English and mispronouncing peasants. Also, you'll never guess what kinds of birds are just waiting outside to be shot in large numbers from a conveniently cargoless cargo car, conveniently moving slow enough, even though they probably should have been scared away from the train the second the engine car went by.
It's uncivilized shooting persons of substance.
Allowing the great Richard Harris's face to be distractingly covered in shadows while he's attempting to create an iconic character. Also, holy shit, I just realized that Richard Harris is the father of Jared Harris. The thing that tipped me off is they both do this pompous Englishman shtick so well. I love them both for it, but now we have to wonder if they're even acting. These two extras were placed here so English Bob can lay it on extra thick that he's a knob and a racist.
I'm gonna get shot. I'd rather it was hot and cold.
Movie has time for a discussion on temperature preference while having a projectile launched through your body. It's only 55 cents for a hot bath, haircut, shave, and toilet water. Eat a Dollar Shave Club.
If you did, that the sight of royalty would cause you to dismiss all thoughts of bloodshed.
Game of Thrones Season 3 just did a double take, spit take, and probably a pratfall.
Hello, Bob.
Wait, wasn't that entire last conversation about how Little Bill wasn't here but out working on his porch? And now he just shows up like that's been the plan all along?
Product.
Denny's original name for the Grand Slam somehow makes it into the script.
I was tasting the soup 2 hours after it ended.
Sucking on your own beard.
Hell, I even thought I was dead. Till I found out it was just that I was in Nebraska.
Acting like Wyoming is qualitatively any different than Nebraska. The moisture-wicking properties of these pants are either so impressive that they allow this stream to make it all the way down his leg without soaking into his pants, or Beauchamp is sporting an ankle-length. Either way, the sin is these pants.
Not a peacemaker, but that wouldn't worry you, would it?
Using the line DC gave Marvel the first time they asked if they could take their gun.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
I'll have that 32, Bob.
This scene is packed with all the tension and gravitas that made old westerns good. There's nothing like it, and there's no way I'm not taking a sit off for the incredible work all around here.
Go and mind your own business!
Telling the crowd to disperse after the danger is over rather than while they might be in the line of fire.
So, you just use your hand?
Thinking Morgan Freeman's talents are best used by having him deliver this line about self-administered jobs.
No, I bumped my head falling off my horse.
You mean that time you landed squarely on your back?
What's it come to 3 ways?
Movie refuses to answer this very important and mathematically unanswerable question. This movie's pacing is so well done that it tricks you into not realizing 90% of this movie is people riding horses from one place to another. I mean, the scenery is nice and it's peaceful and it has me thinking maybe I should hang up my sitting hat, buy myself a farm and settle down. No, I will not. The runtime is over 2 hours.
See your canteen?
Shooting one of the only ways you have to carry water to make a point. We needed a canteen, kid, not a canteen.
The duck of death.
I know gritty reboots are in right now, but Darkwing Duck was just fine the way it was, man.
He hits his $1,000 mirror up over the bar.
Paying $1,000 just to get a better look at yourself are things you could see if you just turned around.
A business up in Jackson County. That really happened. I mean, the way they say it happened.
What business?
Don't worry, he'll tell you all the details you already know because character exposition is easier told than showed.
Say, Ned, how many men you killed?
Asking someone their number on the first date.
All you gotta do is shoot me.
Accidentally giving David Spade career advice.
What if I gave it to him?
Whoa. When did this character wake up with the gonads to push this scenario? He was literally pissing himself 20 minutes ago.
I remember there was 3 men you shot, Will, not 2.
Well, I ain't like that no more, Ned. I ain't no crazy killing fool.
Says the guy currently on his way to kill 2 people based on hearsay. They sauntered up on this train at the exact moment Bob was passing by, and he just happened to be on the correct side of the train, leaning his bruised face against the window. That's a convenience rating of this movie won 4 Oscars, including Best Picture, and it still had to pull this out of 10.
Will, you sure?
What is this magical whiskey that prevents you from getting sick? And why am I only learning about it now? The movie never tells us about ordinances 1 through 13.
I do not like assassins.
Oh, come on. I know it's cheesy, but it's not Stallone's worst, and Banderas is kind of amazing in it. Plus, Donner directs the hell out of it. And did you know the Wachowskis wrote on the script?
Sheriff, I just...
Yeah, damn. Well, I don't have any more receptacles.
It is leaking more on this table than in any of the spots where Little Bill is walking back and forth. So maybe move it? Unless he built the table into the floor, which I'd believe, honestly. But still, bad interior design is bad interior design.
Maybe you should just hang the carpenter.
The sheriff is the carpenter and talks about it all the time, so it's odd that this hasn't come up between these two bosom buddies.
You look like
best friends.
Ordinance says you got to turn in your firearms to the county office.
This movie is a flat-out masterclass in story structure. It sets us up by showing us exactly what happens in this situation before, which amps up the tension even more than before. As an audience, we are perfectly primed for this moment and are on the edge of our seats to see how it might be different this time around. I'm gonna have to give it another send back, because this movie kind of rules.
What's this for, snakes and such?
Adding and such is a close cousin to and stuff. And sweetheart, how many times has Ryan Gosling told you how he feels about that? The thing I never understand about this scene is that little Bill knows he has friends upstairs and that those friends are carrying. Yet he begins this beatdown before neutralizing them or even sending someone up to check on the situation. That's just bad reconnaissance. Movie with an opening crawl and a closing crawl includes a mid-movie crawl. Also, using the stairs like snakes and such, Will is suddenly atop this horse, despite the fact that he couldn't mount it when he wasn't even sick and beat up.
No more advances on what you ain't done yet.
So only advances on what they had done from here on? Because I'm pretty sure that would be called payment.
Me and Dad will kill them two sons of bitches for you!
They managed to kill the correct guys based on these two cartoonish drawings.
He's gonna die, ain't he?
Maybe.
Wait, he might not ever die? Is he immortal? Has this been a Highlander movie the whole time?
Some big fella, he really kicked the hell out of me. I must look kind of like you now.
Cold-blooded Will Money wakes up ready to murder with his killer jokes.
Are you hungry or
3 days, I ought to be.
William would be famished at CinemaSins.
free ones?
Free ones.
Alice and Silky been giving them free ones.
Free ones, billiards, advances. It's a wonder anyone in the Wild West got sexed instead of ending up either with an ice cream cone and a game of pool or with a high-interest loan. Also, it wouldn't be a Clint Eastwood-directed movie starring Clint Eastwood if all the women didn't want to sleep with Clint Eastwood.
What rocks? Why don't you shoot? What's going on, Dad?
Do you mean besides you yelling loud enough to completely give away your position without either of the people who are supposed to be the smart ones telling you to shut up?
Don't you shoot me, you bastard!
Pausing where you are the most vulnerable to being shot to ask someone not to shoot you.
You murdering bastard! You killed our Davy boy!
Then cut to the next scene, and then the three amigos are just riding off with no one in pursuit. I guess Davy's boys are all just sad cowboys now.
This ain't no time to quit, Ned.
You know, you're gonna lose your share, Ned.
Ned has lost his nerve to murder and decides to go home. It's a hell of a thing, killing a man. You take away all he's got, and all he's ever gonna have. Huh, that's pretty good. They should put that in the movie.
It's full of shit.
Kid, a writer doing actual work.
Parson said how he's seen 3 men, right after sunup, headed out east, and one was on a dun, and another was on a flea-bitten gray. Only he didn't know what the third one was on. Could have been an Appaloosa, because he was looking right into the sun.
I swear this guy is about to start talking about catching some righteous curls out in the bay. But since this is Wyoming and there's no bay, he gets involved with the local rollerblading scene. And it all ends in a climactic adrenaline-pumping downhill race where Wiggins, upon completion of a sick jump, will win, get the girl, and take home all the bragging rights. Ah, shit, that's just the plot of Airborne.
I didn't think they'd really do it.
Did you think they'd come clear up from Kansas to us?
Director had Alice pop in from off-screen to deliver this line, and somehow it feels like the movie wants me to believe this is not a comedy.
Had a Spencer rifle on it.
This line is only here because we know that Ned's rifle is a Spencer. Beyond that, Fuzzy is just delivering completely useless information to this crowd.
Well, I ain't worried, because I got me some protection.
Having this much prom night confidence is a telegraphed sign that, metaphorically speaking, his bodyguard is a condom that's been in his wallet for at least 5 years. The movie might be aware of the ocean it's walked into by tying up and bullwhipping its only black character, but I don't think the movie intends on doing the work it takes to fully wrestle with or navigate the current it just passingly waded into. The kid takes a full 12 seconds to open the second stall, as if he's every killer in every bathroom scene in every slasher movie ever. No! Shooting a shitter. And by shitter, I mean shitter, not the shitter.
It don't seem real.
You mean how Little Bill didn't have any of his top guys at the one place where you were most likely to be? Yeah, seems a bit suspicious to me as well.
It's a hell of a thing, killing a man. You take away all he's got and all he's ever gonna have.
This line, man. This line. I feel like I've heard it somewhere before. Damn, it's good.
He's dead.
The movie drops this bomb on us as if Ned wasn't the only character in this whole hellish hellhole of hell that seemed worth saving and deserved a proper goodbye. It's in this moment everything the movie is doing comes to fruition. The entire film we see how strong Will is in honoring his vow to his late wife by not drinking, by not sleeping with the women, and now he suddenly grabs the bottle and starts drinking. The movie doesn't make a big deal about it. In fact, you might not even notice it until about the third swig, but subconsciously you're aware that this movie is not going to give you your happy ending. It is painful, dark, and such masterful storytelling I'm gonna have to remove one more sin just for pulling it off.
Here, take this money and give my half and Ned's half to my kids.
We may need to do a lesson on the difference between half and third.
You just shot an unarmed man.
Well, he should have armed himself. He's gonna decorate his saloon with my friend.
The movie is now just showing off by blowing its load of badass lines. Even Oscar winners aren't immune from the occasional Michael Myers isn't actually dead cliche. Also, whose idea was it to name one of these guys Will and the other one Bill? I know for a fact there were more names floating around the Midwest. How about Chauncey? There's not one single f***ing Chauncey in the whole movie. Bill has over 5 seconds to raise his gun, cock it, and shoot, but manages to not get that done, so Will can survive this for no particular reason. Seriously, this movie gives zero f***s about any of the characters, and it's a delight to feel like not a single person has plot armor. But even in this who lives, who dies, who tells your story situation, Will not being at least a little shot right now is all the bullshit. Pulling a reverse Bob Marley. Thinking I give a shit enough about Mrs. Ansonia Feathers to stick around and read 3 more paragraphs about her at the end of your movie that she isn't a character in.
I've got pigs! I hate pigs!
You don't look like no rootin', tootin' son of a bitch and cold-blooded assassin.
Same could not be said for Willy Wonka.
How about it, Will?
How about what?
How about being my partner?
I wouldn't join one of your harebrained schemes for all the Japanese girlfriend pillows in Kyoto.
You sure those whores got all that money?
Well, you know women can lie.
It's hard out here for a pimp.
So what these fellas do? Cheated cards? Steal some strays? Spit on a rich fella? What?
Okay, you did 2 things wrong. 1 is you asked a question, and 2 is you asked another question.
Is that a fact, mister? You English, Bob?
It is not our abilities that show what we truly are. It is our choices.
Boys, this here's English Bob.
Because he's British.
Bill. Well, I thought you was, but I thought that you were dead.
Doesn't it give you kind of a shudder of electricity through you to be in the same room with me?
You been talking about the Queen again? On Independence Day?
Welcome to Earth.
Just use your hand?
Masturbation is a part of life. Dudes masturbate. So do chicks.
What's your name?
Eastwood. Clint Eastwood.
What kind of stupid name is that?
Are you hungry or...
I'm so hungry I could eat the ass end out of a dead rhino.